CHIP Candidates Night. I want to remind you that this is being taped by Lorain City Schools, and it will be broadcast on Channel 20 beginning the weekend of October the 22nd and up until Election Day. It will also be broadcast on the Lorain County Community College cable television network, and that will begin also somewhere around the weekend of October the 22nd and up until Election Day. LorainCounty.com will also broadcast this on its website, so you'll be able to see that somewhere beginning around October the 22nd. This evening we have the candidates for the 13th Congressional District. On my far left are Congresswoman Betty Sutton. On my right, let me please ask the audience to refrain from applause because that interrupts the time that we have for the candidates. So we want to give them as much time as possible. I ask that you hold all applause until we finish with the round table. On my right is the Republican candidate for 13th District, Mr. Tom Ganley. Now, on my immediate left is the Model UN team member from Lorain High School, Tiffany McClellan, and she will introduce herself, tell you a little bit about herself.
My name is Tiffany McClellan. I'm currently a junior at Lorain High School. I am sitting on the executive board of the Model UN team, and I'm highly active in my high school. I participate in many of the clubs there as well as the sports teams.
And what sports do you play?
I'm a varsity starter on the soccer team.
That is a lot. And one question, what position do you play?
I'm currently a midfielder.
Very good. So, let us begin the questions. I believe we'll have time for at least 3 questions, possibly 4. So, I'm sorry. You are correct. I got ahead of ourselves. Let us begin the introductions of the candidates. They will have 2 minutes to speak about themselves, and we'll begin with Mr. Ganley.
Well, good evening, and thank you all for being here. My name is Tom Ganley. I'm running for the 13th Congressional District of the state of Ohio. I'd like you to know a little bit about me. I'm a businessman in Northern Ohio. I went in business April the 1st, 1968, April Fool's Day, and I've been in business continuously since then, 42 and a half years. During that 42 and a half years, I've created what I consider to be the top issue in this campaign, and that's jobs. I've created thousands of jobs in the years that I've been in business, 42 and a half years. I am also proud to tell you that I'm the head of Crime Stoppers of Northern Ohio, and we average putting away 50 to 80 felons a month, much of which I underwrite, not all of it, but a good portion of it. When I took over Crime Stoppers, they were doing 12 to 15 rewards for felonies. In this case now we're up to the number that I told you. But let's get down to business. We need to create jobs in this wonderful state of Ohio. I know how to do that. I have a track record of doing that. I'd like to give you just a quick report. You've seen an awful lot of television that is the nicest way to say is it's in opposition. Please remember the 400 lawsuits. No one seems to divulge that, but they're over 42 years. You certainly need to know that. I can get the job done for you. I know how to create jobs. I also know how to create budgets. Are you aware that the federal government, on 2 attempts, does not have a budget for this year? Wonder how you can run a big, big country without a budget. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your support, but I want you to hear all that we have to say tonight and just make your decisions. But whatever that decision is, vote on November 2nd.
Please hold your applause. Thank you.
Thank you so so much, David. And Tiffany, we're very proud of all of your accomplishments and all that you are going to do. Thank you to Chip for holding this forum and for all of the good work that you do to provide information to our constituents and our community. I'm Betty Sutton, and I'm extremely proud to be your representative in Congress. As we all know, right now, our neighborhoods, our community, our country are at a critical juncture. And we need someone in Washington who understands our struggles, who will stand up and fight the fight that we need fought, and that is for jobs. That is who I am, and that is what I'm about. Before going to Congress, you all know that I had the privilege to represent a lot of workers up and down throughout Northeast Ohio, firefighters, police, teachers, those who make our world turn. In Congress, I've had the privilege to stand up and go to the International Trade Commission on behalf of our community, on behalf of our steelworkers, to fight the fight to make sure that they have the jobs and a level playing field in this country. I have stood up in Congress to make sure that no bad trade deals came to the House floor this time, because we have to stop our broken trade policies that cause the outsourcing of our jobs, and that's exactly what I will continue to do. We're making some progress. We need to strengthen manufacturing, stand by small businesses who treat their employees fairly, who do right by them, and make sure that we are investing in the things that matter to our communities. We also have to stand up to corporations who try to abuse the people who I am so honored to serve, and that's exactly what I've done when I took on the credit card companies to pass the Bill of Rights to make sure they stop charging those unreasonable, unconscionable fees, stop the insurance companies from discriminating based on pre-existing conditions. That's what I've done. I want to continue the fight on your behalf, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Now the first question will be asked by Tiffany McClellan.
The growing deficit needs to be addressed in order to balance the budget for the well-being of ourselves and our posterity. What measures should the Congress offer to solve this ever-growing problem?
Thank you, Tiffany. An important question on the minds of many, many people, and certainly on my mind. The last administration inherited record surpluses, and they left us with tremendous, tremendous deficits. A couple of things that will help us chip away at that deficit will be ending the war in Iraq and bringing our troops home, and that will certainly reduce costs that we are now incurring, as well as the expiration of the tax cuts that are benefiting only the super rich. I am absolutely committed to making sure that we continue to protect the tax cuts that benefit the middle class and everyone, frankly, up to $250,000, but not incur $700 billion of more to our deficit by protecting millionaires and billionaires and putting the costs on the backs of working people. So that's some of the things we should do.
Mr. Ganley, 1 minute to answer the question regarding the growing deficit.
Well, there's a number of ways that we can approach it. For example, ladies and gentlemen, there are 150 programs of the federal government that are long past their prime. These are programs that we need to step up and cut. And who better to do that than a businessman who has a budget for all of his businesses every year, and most importantly has the discipline to ensure that everyone stays within that budget. I'm just appalled that our government has not passed a budget, and as I understand, my opponent has had 2 opportunities to see that happened, and it hasn't happened. I can tell you as a businessman, you cannot run a business without a budget. I don't believe you can run a country without a budget, but there are ways that we can cut it without touching Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or veterans' pensions. I would never do that. Somehow, somebody misquoted me on that, but I would never, ever do that. It's important that you understand. Thank you.
All right, and our next question is directed, beginning with Mr. Ganley. If we agree that small business creates more jobs than any other economic segment, what changes would you propose to further assist small business creation and expansion?
Well, I think this one's right down my alley when you consider I went in business in 1968 with 12 people and myself. Only one quit. They're all with me 42 and a half years later, or they have passed away, unfortunately. There are a number of things that we can do for small businesses. We have to stop killing small businesses with taxes. 70% of the people employed in the United States today are employed by small businesses, yet we continue to overtax them. We need to give incentives to small businesses, and my example is a 20% reduction in their tax liability, and they use that 20% to grow capital and to create jobs. It's a definite plan, it's a definite policy. I know how to do that. I have the track record of doing it, and I'd love to have your support on that. Thank you.
Same question for Congresswoman Sutton.
Thank you very much. And small businesses are an important part of our economic revitalization, along with strengthening manufacturing in this country. I have been happy to support 8 tax cuts to benefit small business in this Congress. Those are important measures. We just saw last week reported that $55 million will be coming to help small businesses in Ohio, and that money will be leveraged by tenfold, so $550 million worth of capital, which we know our small businesses certainly need to access, will become available. So we need to continue to make sure that we pass these measures. I will say that my opponent's party opposed those tax cuts, and those tax cuts, by the way, our last question was about the deficit. And another measure that we took in the process of passing those tax cuts to help small businesses was we paid for it by closing a tax loophole that causes jobs to be shipped overseas and outsourced. That's a good piece of legislation